Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. In this video we're going to be going over all of the F1 2020 World Championship tracks and layouts and ranking them from best to worst. But before we begin, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, why not consider subscribing? It would make a big difference to me just starting out and mean more F1 videos are on the way soon. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it, ranking every 2020 F1 track. Number 15, Sochi. The worst track in 2020 is, to no one's surprise, Sochi. This sort of street circuit, sort of not, hybrid track is set amongst the buildings for the 2014 Winter Olympics. This feature of being formed to fit around the buildings, rather than create a good racetrack, means an abundance of characterless and identical 90-degree corners. With few overtaking opportunities, and being one of the worst tracks aesthetically, Sochi rarely fails to produce the most boring and forgetful race of the season. Number 14, Yas Marina. Yas Marina is the perfect example of a track created to show off its surroundings, rather than actually promote good racing. While the surrounding architecture, such as the marina and hotel that forms a bridge over the track, are impressive, the track itself fails to create any inspired racing. Two long straights can invite some close battles, however these are immediately stopped by the slow and yet again 90-degree Sector 3 complex. So much potential for the last race of the year, but not enough focus on actual racing. Number 13, Barcelona. While more natural and old school than the previous two tracks, these days Barcelona fails to create any real excitement in the F1 community. Perhaps it's down to the fact that testing takes place here every year and the teams know the track too well, or perhaps it just isn't suited to the bigger and faster F1 cars of today. You know, I just can't put my finger on why this track never seems to perform, aside maybe from Max Verstappen's first win back in 2016. But either way, Barcelona, another one down near the bottom. Number 12, Imola. The first of the special 2020 stand-in tracks on this list, and unfortunately the worst. While Imola is undoubtedly set in a truly beautiful part of Italy, and filled with F1 history, it just isn't up to the demands of modern F1. The track is far too narrow to allow for side-by-side battling, and the lack of clear straights mean overtaking opportunities are rare without driver error, as evident by Max Verstappen only passing Valtteri Bottas when he went off track. Number 11, Nürburgring. Not to be confused with the legendary Nordschleife, the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit is its much shorter and safer F1 suited brother. Another one of the 2020 stand-in circuits, the Nürburgring Grand Prix track is well balanced by modern F1 standards, if not for a little narrowed through sections of the track. Racing is nothing special but by no means poor, and being located in Germany, the threat of rain to spice up a race is always looming, as it did in the chaos back in 2007. Personally, I'd actually like to see more of the Nürburgring. Number 10, Mugello. Another one of the 2020 stand-in tracks, and a bit of a mixed bag in my opinion. While the track is fast and exciting, with a particularly long main straight which produces reasonable overtaking opportunities, the fast nature of this track makes it fairly difficult to follow cars in front. While we did get an exciting race earlier this year, I think we can all agree it was more down to the red flags and safety cars than anything the track actually had to offer. But who knows, maybe we'll see more of Mugello in the future. Number 9, Hungaroring. Often nicknamed Monaco without the barriers, the Hungaroring is a tight and beautifully flowing fast-paced circuit. While the track is certainly narrow, and overtaking can sometimes come at a premium, aside from a disappointing race this year, we usually still always end up with fairly interesting races at the Hungaroring. Even without the on-track excitement, however, I always find myself looking forward to the Hungaroring on the calendar every year, so I think a nice middle-of-the-road placing is fair. Number 8. Monza. Probably the most controversial placing on this list, the Temple of Speed lands itself in 8th. While Monza is without a doubt steeped in F1 history, and provides an interesting change of style to other tracks on the F1 calendar, I've actually found the action to be slightly tamed in recent times, with cars struggling to follow, and few exciting corners to break up the long straights. I just feel Monza has regressed that slight bit, but having said all that, Monza is still an extraordinary occasion every year, and an integral part of the F1 calendar. Number 7, Bahrain Outer Layout. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for the slight change in my appearance. It's actually been a little while since the rest of the clips were recorded, but I wanted to see what this layout would be like before I ranked it, and it's actually come off rather well. I was afraid the absence of many corners would make the race a bit of a, 1 second between cars snooze fest, a little bit like what we saw at Monza in recent times. And to a certain extent I was right early on in the race, but there was a lot more action than I had anticipated, and the race certainly came to life after a late safety car. Much of this excitement was of course due to the fates of both George Russell and the eventual race winner Sergio Perez, so then the track certainly does not get all of the credit. But it was an interesting change to what we're used to in F1, and I was definitely pleasantly surprised. Number 6, Portimao. The most recent new track for F1 to race on, Portimao was actually a quite fun and enjoyable track to watch in my opinion. Without question, the most striking feature of the track is its elevation changes and hills. But the surprisingly wide track and overtaking opportunity into turn 1 are also worth mentioning, creating a decently packed race of action and providing an exciting spectacle of F1 cars going around its wild track. Portimao deserves to be this high up on the list. Number 5, Bahrain. Some of you might be surprised to see such a new Middle Eastern track so high on the list, but Bahrain is probably the most underrated track on F1's permanent calendar. The track itself is well suited for action and overtaking, as well as having an interesting aesthetic, taking place at night. The track has given us lots of interesting races in recent memory, including Hamilton and Rosberg's epic 2014 duel, and will hopefully continue to do so for years to come. Number 4. Istanbul. The highest ranked stand-in track on this list, Istanbul is a driver as well as a fan favourite. The track has a pleasantly wide mix of interesting corners and straights, in particular the adored Turn 8, and always seems to provide a good race. We won't forget the crazy qualifying and race that took place here this year either. Let's hope the F1 organisers can see what we see, and add Istanbul to the permanent calendar. Number 3. Spielberg. Coming in for the first podium position is Red Bull's home track, and it's always a great venue to visit. Spielberg actually hosted 2 races this year, and we were absolutely thankful for it. Playing host to some of the best races over the last 3 or 4 years, including Max Verstappen's epic comeback win in 2019. Spielberg is a short but furious track that always allows for close racing. A track we certainly hope is not going anywhere. Spielberg deserves to make the podium. Number 2. Silverstone. Another track to host 2 races this year. Silverstone is non-stop speed and action. While it has been updated many times over the years, and some claim it is simply too easy for modern F1 cars with all their downforce, Silverstone is still one of the most exciting races every year. The Maggots and Beckett's complex is just incredible to watch the cars fly through, and the high downforce track even causes mayhem from time to time, such as we saw this year, with Lewis Hamilton crawling over the line on 3 wheels to take the win. A joy to watch every year, Silverstone deserves its spot. Number 1. Spa-Francorchamps. Was there really ever any doubt? Of course Spa was going to land itself on the top spot on this list. Arguably the best racetrack in the entire world, Spa is everything you want from a Grand Prix circuit. Beautiful forest scenery, extreme elevation changes, long straights, tough braking zones, high-speed corners. The iconic red and yellow venue has it all. Just watching the cars fly up Eau Rouge and Raidillon is something incredible to behold. Without question the best F1 track in 2020, Spa-Francorchamps. So that wraps it up for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. It goes a long way in helping this channel grow. More videos on the way soon. See ya.